and follow them. So let's start with Gita Dhyanam. The verses. So the reason we recite these verses so that our mind becomes fully centered. Another reason we recite this so that we can give thanks to the author of this book, Rishi Vyasa. Thanks to the book itself, which is Shastra, Bhagavad Gita. Thanks to Lord Krishna himself. Okay, so that's the reason we recite it. So even though you are on mute, but you can recite with me. Okay, so it's good to memorize these. I know some of you have memorized all these verses, but if you look at it and recite, that's good too. Okay. Om Parthaye Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayan Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrit Varshinim Bhagavati Mashtadashadhyayane Am Tvam Anusandame Bhagavat Gite Bhavatveshane Namo Astu Te Vyas Vishal Buddhe Full Arvind Ayat Patra Netar Yen Tavya Bharat Tail Purnaha प्रज्वलितो ज्ञान में प्रदीपः परपान्न पारी जाताये तोत्र वेत्र एक पाने ज्ञान मुद्राये कृष्णाये गीता अमृत दुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोगदा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सा सुधीर भोगता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत वसुदेव सुतम देवम कंस चानूर मर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगत गुरुम भीष्म द्रोण तटा जयद्रथ जला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्य ग्राहवती कृपेन वहने कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोर मकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तने सोतीर्णा खलु पांडवै रन्नदी के वर्तका केशवा पाराशरे वत्सरोजमलम गीता अर्थ गंधोटकम नानाख्यानक केसरम हरि कथा संबोधन अबोधितम लोके सज्जन षटपदय रह वे पिये मानम मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजम कलिमल प्रध्वंसी न श्रेयसे मूकम करोति वाचालम पंगुम लंघ्यते गिरम यत् कृपातमं वंदे परमानंद माधवम यम ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्ये स्तवे वेदै सांगपद क्रमोपनिषदै गायन्ति यम सामगा ध्यानवस्थित तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यम योगिनो यस्यन्तं न विदु सुर असुर गणा देवाय तस्मै नमः. Let me just make sure my computer is hooked. I just got a little notification that it's low in battery. Just 1 second. So, Nirman Moha, Jit Sang Doshaha, Adhyatma Nitya, Vinivrit Kamaha, Dvande Vimuktaha Sukh Dukh Santya. So, these are the 5 disciplines we talked about. Okay. So, any question on these? Don't, let's just move to the next verse. Number 6. So the goal is again clearly specified here. Na tat bhasyate suryah, na shashank na pavakah, yat gatva na nirvatante, tat dham paramam mama. Na means not, tat means that, bhasyate illumines, surya, the sun, na shashankaha, not the moon, na pavakaha, not fire. Yat gatvaha, yat means to which, gatva having gone. Na nirvatantehe, nirvatante means they return. Dham means abode. Paramam, mam, supreme. Paramam means supreme. Mam means my. Nor does the sun shine there, nor the moon, nor fire, to which having gone, they return not. That is my supreme abode. So this is a glorious state of perfection, and that is our goal. Consistently throughout Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is indicating this to us. That this is the goal, where gone there, you don't come back. That means you have merged with the ultimate. So sun, moon, fire, he is enumerating almost all the sources of the light. Sure, these sources of lights are blessing for us. They are blessings in our physical existence. But these sources of light, where do they get their light? God, ultimate, Brahm, absolute. And he says, that is your goal. It's not the light which we perceive with our eyes. It is that source of light which is eternal. That is our goal. So that's what he's talking about. He says, that is my supreme abode. It's like we are consciously aware of the object. Over here, he's talking about the subject. An object of perception cannot illumine the subject. It is the other way around. Subject is the one which is illuminating the object. And that's what he says. You have to come to that subject, which is Supreme himself. And once you are there, you don't come back again. You are merged. So it's always emphasized in all Hindu scriptures, I would say, that this is the goal. This is the only goal. So in the next verse, answer to the question which people often ask, where is it written that we are part of God? Who says that we are part of God? This is the verse number 7. Mamev anshaha jiva loke jiva bhutaha sanatanaha manashasthani indriyani prakriti sathani karshati. Mam means my, ev means even, anshaha, the portion. Jiva loke, in the world of life. Jiva bhuta, having become a soul. Sanatanaha, eternal. Manashasthani, with the mind as a sixth. Indriyani, sense organs of perception. Prakriti sathani, abiding in Prakriti. Karshati, draws. That means draws to itself. An eternal portion of myself. See, mam eva anshe jivaloke. So an eternal portion of myself, having become a living soul in the world of life and abiding in Prakriti, draws to itself the five senses, with the mind as the sixth. We are all familiar with the five senses. Okay, the power behind our sense organs, and the mind as a sixth. Okay, so it's a portion of God, which is what we are, the soul. Or you can say that ray of that supreme light, that's what we are. Infinite has no parts, doesn't have the divisions. It's not that it's broken into several parts. Our mind is the one which really thinks that we have separated from God. In reality, we are not separated. We are always connected. Our ego just makes us think that we are separated. Okay? Because when we think that it's a part, maybe we got separate. No, in reality, we are not separate. So, Jeev, born out of the consciousness, playing upon a given subtle body, that's what we are. We got the senses also, and then we got the mind also. The scriptures, the Vedic scriptures, they talk about different kind of ansha also. There's a swa ansha, then there's a vibhin ansha. Swa ansha means those souls, when they come into a human body and still don't forget, or even an animal body, they will not forget. Those are called the avatars. All the avatars are of God. Whether it's a Varaha avatar, or whether it's a Vaman avatar, or a Ram avatar, those are called Swa Ansha. And the second category is called Vibhin Ansha. Those are differentiated parts of God. They are the parts of the Jeev Shakti. And in the Vibhin Ansha also, there are three categories. According to the Vedas, there is a Nitya Siddha, Sadhana Siddha, and Nitya Baddha. Nitya Siddha, souls who were always liberated and have resided in the realm of God. Nitya Siddha. Then there's Sadhana Siddha. The people who are practicing sadhana and attaining the supreme Godhood. Sadhana Siddha. Third is the Nitya Baddha. Those are the people who are struggling, who are bound. Nitya Baddha. But still they are all part of God. Eternal part of God. Some know, some don't know. Some are practicing to get rid of the ego and the obstacles. And some say, it's okay. That is the difference. And these senses which we are talking about, these are the powers of seeing, hearing, etc. And also of feeling, thinking, etc. And also these are the powers behind the organs. Antakara. They are the expression of the spirit. If the spirit, soul is not there, there's no power in those sense organs. So where is the power coming from? The soul. And what is the soul? It's part of God. We should always remember that God resides in us and in everybody else also. So very important and very famous and often recited shalok of Bhagavad Gita. Mamev anshaha jeev loke jeev bhuta sanatana. Sanatan means eternal. It's not that today it is there and tomorrow it's not. It's always there. And when does this infinite draw these faculties around it? He says, Shariram yat avapnoti yat cha api atkramati ishvaraha grihitva etani sanyati vayu gandhan iv ashyat. Shariram, a body. Yat means when. Avapnoti, obtains. Again, yat means when. Cha is and. Api also. Atkramati, leaves. Ishvaraha, the Lord. Grihitva, taking. Etani, these. Sanyati, goes. Vayu, the wind. Gandhan, the scent. If means as, ashyat, from their seeds. Obtains a body. And who's the Lord over here? The soul. Soul is the Lord for this body. Just like in that chariot. Who is the Lord of the chariot? Charioteer. Okay. So when the Lord obtains a body, and when he leaves, he takes these and goes with them as the wind takes the scents from their seeds, the flowers. So it's like a transmigration, phenomena of transmigration of the soul is explained here. And the example is the breeze. Just like the breeze takes the fragrance away. The same way, he says, when the Lord obtains a body and when he leaves, when the Atma leaves the body, takes these means these power of the senses and the mind also with them, as the wind takes the scent from their seeds. And seeds are the flowers he's talking about. This is the analogy he's giving it to us. So when the soul comes into a new body, in every life, the mind continues its journey from the past lifetimes. This explains why even people who are blind from birth can see in dreams, because mind is coming. Okay, so the Lord, why even the Purush word, in the Purush, if you break it down, there's a Ish word in there. Purush means a soul, so it's like a Lord of that Puri, the body. Sometimes we think Lord is only the God, but this Ansh of God is also a Lord of this particular body. That's what he's trying to tell us. So at death, the subtle body departs from the gross body, and the gross body is left inert. So Lord of the body is what we need to know, which we have forgotten. All our life we've been thinking about and caring for the body, or outside of the body, the things which are inert. We made that as our whole journey. The journey is about knowing ourselves. Okay, so then he says, further explaining these senses, Shrotram chakshu sparshnam cha rasnam granam evacha adhishthāye manacha ayam vishyan upasevate. Shrotram, the ear, chakshu, the eyes, sparshnam, the organ of touch, rasnam, the organ of taste, granam, the organ of smell. Ev means even, cha means and. Adhishthāye, presiding over. Manaha, the mind. Ayam, he. Vishyan, objects of the sense. Upasevate, enjoys. Presiding over the ear, the eye, the touch, the taste, the smell, and also the mind. He enjoys the sense objects. Who is he over here? The Jivatma. Jivatma. So the Jiv, through the equipment of the mind, enjoys the world of objects available in the new environment through the sense organs of hearing, seeing, touching, tasting, and smelling. So these are expressed through the respective sense organ. See, the mind has to be connected. If the mind is not connected with the sense organ, we will not perceive it. That's why sometimes if we are very busy reading, writing, somebody can enter into a room, still we will not feel the presence because mental connection is somewhere else. So there has to be a connection between these. So we see and hear nothing because the conscious mind is turned somewhere else. So connection of the mind with the senses is important. And this is self, the soul, the Ish, the Lord, is visible only to the eye of knowledge. Otherwise, it's everywhere. It's eternally there, but we are not aware of it because we have not really opened or expanded our eye of our wisdom. So that's what he's talking about in the next verse, number 10. Utkramantam sthitam va api bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudaha na anupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshusha. So this jnana chakshu, eye of knowledge. Utkramantam, departing. Sthitam, staying. Va means or, api is also bhunjanam, enjoying. Gunanvitam, united with the gunas. And the gunas are the satvikta, rajsikta, tamsikta, gunas of the prakriti. Vimudaha, the deluded. Na means not, anupashyanti, see him. Pashyanti, behold him. Jnana chakshusha, those who possess the eye of knowledge. Him who departs, stays and enjoys, who is united with the gunas. The deluded do not see, but they behold who possess the eye of knowledge. So this Atma, the soul, the Lord, it's in everybody. That's what who we are. But the deluded don't see it. It's there, but they don't want to see it. But who sees it? Who has developed this Jnana Chaksha? Jnana Chaksha. So it's almost like a better understanding of things is always reserved for a man of knowledge. Man of knowledge. Just like everybody can read a great piece of literature, but only a literary genius can comprehend and enjoy fully that piece or that writing or that literature. Just reading is easy. Anybody who knows the alphabet in that language can read it. But to understand the deep implication of that literature, or even fine piece of jewelry, everybody can see it, but only a person who knows the worth of those gems can understand what that jewel is about. So that's what he's talking about. That every one of us, even though our real nature is soul, the Atma, part of God, but only a wise man who can come to recognize and live the infinite essence of life itself will know it. So infinite self, the soul is always present. It's not that sometimes it's present and sometimes it's not. It's always present. But those who have walked the path of spirituality, Gyan Chakshu means not just only knowing, but living the life with this awareness. That is a Gyan Chakshu. Okay? So although the soul is seated with the body and savors the perceptions of the mind and senses, not everybody cognizes it. That's what he's talking about. So special vision is needed, and it is available to man of perfection. That is called eye of knowledge. Eye of knowledge. So this eye of knowledge cannot be developed unless those disciplines which we talked about in the verse number 5, we practice. It's not that somebody will touch our forehead and will give us the Gyan Chaksha. We do the sadhana. That's why I told you last time, write those down. Are you really practicing them? First, do you really understand them? Then do you want to practice them? And after practicing, where are you? What kind of a mark you will give yourself? All 5 of them. Sometimes we think that Lord Krishna has given us 32 of that and 22 of that and all those lists, long lists. This is a list of only 5. So we can do that at least. Yatantaha yogina cha enam pashyanti atmani avasthitam yatantata api akritatman na enam pashyanti achetasaha. Yatantata, striving, and striving means striving for perfection. Yogina, the yogis. Cha means and, enam means this. Pashyanti, see, atmani, in the self. Avasthitam, dwelling. Yatantata, striving. Api means also. Akrit atmanaha. Akrit atmana, we're going to read more about it in the next chapter also. Dev and Asur Sampad Vibhag Yoga, the Asuri personality, the Asuri inclinations in life, that's called Akrit Atmana. And he's going to give us the list of that. What kind of a character, what kind of a behavior, what kind of attitude, aptitude put us into that Akrit Atmana. But over here, I'll tell you, Akrit Atmana means unrefined. You have not worked on yourself yet. Na enam, not this, pashyanti, see, achetasaha, the unintelligent. The seekers striving for perfection, behold him dwelling in the self. But the unrefined and unintelligent, even though striving, see him not. So in other words, to strive for knowledge is not enough. Just merely reading Gita, memorizing the verses is not enough. Our endeavor must be properly directed. Often humans make the mistake that they seek to know divine entities by the same means as they have gotten to know the world. They take the perception of their senses and the power of the intellect as the basis for deciding. If I see God or whatever I see, that's what it is. But this Atma, the soul, cannot be perceived by the senses. So if they don't see God, they say there must not be a God. So over here in this verse, Lord Krishna is telling us two things. Purification of the mind is first one. Don't be a Krit Atmana. Become a Krit Atmana. Purify your mind. That means removal of the vikshep, the agitations, the restlessness of the mind. That is a pure mind. And that is by removing the false egocentric attachments As long as we have the attachment to our ego, we'll have an agitated mind. So this is the first thing we need to do while we are doing this sadhana. Very important. Or in simpler terms, he said detachment, vairagya. And the second one is when he says chetasa, over here he says achetasa, who is not chetan enough, not conscious enough, not intelligent enough. That means that we have to remove all the doubts of the misty mind. Those doubts are the one which is covering this beautiful light of ours. Or the veil which is over our light. So the intellect is to be tuned up properly to a correct understanding of the nature of the self. So doubts got to be removed. That's why we go to the Guru. That's why we study the scriptures. That's why we contemplate upon it too. So that all the doubts have been removed. But both are needed. Mind has to be purified. That's Kritatmana and Chetasaha. So he says by working on both angles, you will have the Gyan Chakshu. You'll be able to see who I am, seated right there in your heart. So those who are successful in their attempts of stilling their mind, cleaning their intellect of its disturbing attachments and desires, they come to recognize that God is right here. So that's why in the very first line, when he says, Yatantataha yogina cha enam pashyanti atmani avasthitam, he says those striving, they are not achieving because they are not striving properly. It's almost like if I want to go somewhere, but I go forward and then come backward also. Then I go to the right and the left also. So at the end, I have not made any movement at all. Yatan is there, effort is there. Effort is there to move. Sometimes do good deeds, sometimes do bad deeds. Some people I'm very nice to, the other people I'm very mean to. Yatan is there. But there's no movement at all towards it. So we need to learn how to move upward, not just only in a horizontal direction. So when we make our mind free of agitations, free of attachments, we put the proper kind of a knowledge, then we see God is right here. We don't have to go anywhere else. Because if these two adjustments are not properly accomplished through practice, and normally this is with the practice of devotion and service. It's not that we are these Karam Yoga, Raj Yoga, Hat Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, these are like a watertight compartments. No. We got to have in our life all these elements in our life. We got to have a devotion also. We got to take care of the body also. We got to remove the ignorance also so that knowledge is seen. And we have to do the service also. We live in this world where we got to be a good citizen also. So combination of all of this will really make a big difference in our personality. Okay, so all attempts, even meditation also. It's not meditation alone, but meditation also. And that is a main factor of Raj Yoga. Okay, so if somebody says, no, I am only a Karma Yogi. No, to me, I think that's only a karmi, maybe action. Karma Yoga means you already, if you have become a Karma Yogi, that means that the beauty of the rest of the paths are also in your personality. A Karma Yogi is automatically has a devotion part. You cannot be a Karam Yogi unless you start seeing God in everybody. And you cannot do Karam Yogi unless your body is healthy. So you got to practice Hatha Yoga also. If you are sick yourself, how can you go out and do the selfless service? And if there's a lot of ignorance in us, how can we see God everywhere? So that's why Karam Yoga, Raj Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, all of these need to be practiced. So even though this soul is the nearest, but we are not striving it properly. We are striving, but not properly. We have not perceived it yet. We do not see him because of the complete slavery to the enchantments of the sense objects. Because these objects are alluring to us. We forget the reality. The real thing is forgotten. The false we keep on wasting our life. In the next 4 verses, the eminence of the Lord is beautifully described. Because remember, the title of this chapter is Purushottam Yoga. Last week I told you that this is, in this chapter, so clearly, so beautifully, the infinite is explained. Okay, so we'll see that in the next 4 verses also. So how is it explained? That this Lord is the all illumining light. See, just like he said, that light of the sun, light of the moon, light of the fire, they are all objective lights. So God is all illumining light of consciousness. Lord is all sustaining life. Lord is the subjective warmth of life in all living organisms. And Lord is the self in all the hearts. In Hindi, we often say, सब हृदयों में वास करने वाला परमात्मा. That is self. So far we have seen, I mean, this is what we're going to study in the next 4 verses, but so far the self has been indicated as that which cannot be illumined by the known phenomenal sources of light. Okay, so eyes cannot illumine the soul. In other words, eyes cannot see the soul. If you think that, no, I can see, I got 20/20 vision, I'll be able to see the soul. It is not. By definition, we cannot. So cannot be, because eyes get illumination from the soul. How can it work the other way around? And that which having reached, none returns back from that state of perfection. That's another fact he mentioned. And third one, that of which the individual entities are only as though a part. Ansh. Okay. So now let's look at verse number 12. Yat aditya gatam tejaha jagat bhasyate akhilam. Yat chandramasi yat cho agnyo tat tejaha vidhi mamakam. So it can also be seen that the method for perceiving the existence of God. Yat means which, aditya gatam, residing in the sun. Tejaha, light, jagat, the world. Bhasyate, illumines. Akhilam, whole, like a complete. Yat means which, Chandramasi in the moon. Yat means which, Agnyoho in the fire. That is that, Tejaha light, Vidhi known, Mam kam mine. That light which is residing in the sun and which illumines the whole world, and that which is in the moon and in the fire. Know that light to be mine. Okay? So all the lights out there, because whenever we think about God, we say it's a light is God. Because when we visualize also, we meditate and we are told that, hey, visualize that light inside you. That light is a divine light, what they are telling us. Whether it's in the chakras or whether it's in the heart or whether it's in the mind. Okay? It's a light. So illumination to everything. So over here in this verse, he's talking about the sun and the moon and the fire, because mainly those are the three sources of light we often refer to. So, but the question is not fully solved, and intellect keeps on wondering why, how, what. So that's why these verses are written in this way. These four verses, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that when we are putting our intellect into this to understand it, because intelligently first we have to understand, then we'll practice. So the very first thing he is telling us, that know that light to be mine. So when we are doing a Surya Namaskar also, don't think that we are doing a Namaskar to the Surya itself. We are doing the Namaskar to the divine light which we see in the sun. Or at night when you see the moon, there's a divinity in there also. When we do the Havan, we see that light in front of us by burning the wood and the ghee, the light which comes out of it, we got to just connect to the divinity in that light. Not just the physical flames of the light. That's why we call it a divine fire. Call it a Agni Devta. Because when we say God is everywhere, so these rishis, they have come up with the techniques so that we do the rituals to connect with that divinity. So over here, Lord Krishna is saying that light which is residing in all of these lights, know that light to be mine. So do not forget the essence of the light. Do not get lost into the physicality of the light. Okay, so but human nature is such that we are attracted toward what we feel is significant. That's how we are. Even as a little baby, they have done many studies. They'll be attracted to something which is significant, which is more beautiful, which is bright. So, and that's how the examples over here are also given. At night we see the moon, during the daytime we see the sun, or we use the fire also. He says, this is my light in all of them. So we'll just stop it here because it's already more than 11:15. So, but we'll catch up with this, there's a couple of more points in this verse itself. So we'll start with the verse number 12. And it's a continuation from 12, 13, 14, 15. This becomes a chapter by itself actually. Chapter within the chapter by Lord Krishna. So now if you have any questions, any comments, I'll give you a chance to ask. Jyoti, anybody has a question?
No,
unmute yourself. Yeah.
No questions?
Nobody has a question? That's amazing. Either I did a good job or I just put you to sleep.
I have a quick question.
Okay, all right.
The word akrit atmani. What is the meaning of the word krit? Is that
Krit means doing.
so?
And
It's like,
akrit means doing wrong. It's
is it
like a krit will be like I am speaking. Akrit is I'm speaking rudely.
okay?
Okay, anybody who does a bad action, akrit atmana.
Is it
So
the
that's
same?
why I said in the next chapter, chapter number 16, he talks in detail what the akritatmana is. Those, in Lord Krishna's language, those are the asurs. With the negative tendencies, tamsik, rajsik. And kritatmana will be satvik. Okay.
Is the word krit here? Is it the same word as the three types of texts? One of them is krit.
No.
No.
Over here, krit means doing. Okay. Yeah. So doing something. Yeah, that's krit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sujata,
Yes,
Sujata, unmute yourself.
I really enjoyed today's class, and I think the most important point to me was the fact that it's not enough to intellectually understand at any level.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
important to
Because
do.
intellect is also, when we try to understand something intellectually, it's still objectively. Okay, subject is beyond intellect. Okay, that's what we got to keep in mind. We need intellect, but even with the help of the intellect, we can reach up to certain point. Okay, so it's not that they are putting down the intellect, but they are saying that intellect is also part of the Prakriti. Part of the Prakriti.
I think there's I think there's two kinds of people. There's people who understand, and they just pride themselves on understanding the argument, and yet they do nothing.
Yeah.
And to me, that's worse than not understanding, almost. I mean.
Yeah, that's why, you remember, were you in the class yesterday? I think you were, right?
Yesterday, no.
No, okay. Over there, we learned at the end of Bhagavad Gita, when Sanjay says, in order for the prosperity and the peace and all that, you need Lord Krishna also, you need Arjuna also. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Tatra Dhanurdhar. Right? Pandava. So that means Arjuna means the action. Krishna means the knowledge. There has to be a wedding of both. Both together. Doing action without the wisdom is a disaster. Having the wisdom and no action, that's even a bigger disaster. We need both. And that's what the whole Gita is all about. So that is about living a life intelligently over here. Yes, I think somebody else has a question.
Nana?
Yes, Nana.
Hershi, in Shlok 7, you talked about Nitya Siddh, Sadhana Siddh, and Nitya Ban. Can you explain it to me, Sadhana Siddh, please?
Sadhana Siddh are, Sadhana
Sadhana
means people who are practicing, they are doing the sadhana, and ultimately they will attain the Supreme Lord.
But first they are okay.
Yeah. See, like a sadhana siddh, I would say that the yogis, like a practitioners like us, we are doing the sadhana. When we do the sadhana properly, we will become the Nitya Siddh. Okay. Then from Nitya Siddh,
Nitya Bandh or Nitya, what is the word? Nitya Bandh.
Nitya Badh is the people who are bound. Bande hue hain. They don't even do the sadhana. The third category, they are not doing any sadhana.
Oh,
Just
they
like Sujata was saying that just having the knowledge but not doing the sadhana.
so means they are not doing anything. It's nitya.
They are not doing anything. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
They are
sadhana-
bound by the five senses so much. They think this is what it is. The material world.
Okay.
Okay.
And they don't want to do it. Means like it's like they don't do it at all.
They don't do. They don't even believe in it.
They don't believe in it.
They think they don't see God. What is God? I
Okay.
am God.
Got it.
Right? So that's why Nitya Siddh, Sadhan Siddh, and Nitya Badh. These are the
Yeah.
things.
Nitya Siddha is liberated. Yeah.
Yes.
That I got. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Somebody else.
Sujata's mom. But you have to
Unmute yourself, please. We cannot hear you. Unmute.
No, you have to unmute.
Yeah. Yeah. She's unmuted. Okay. All right. Sure.
Can
Go
you
ahead.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. Can you please explain the 3 steps? Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasa.
Okay. Shravan is when you read something or you hear
Yes.
something. Okay. That is the
Yes.
first step. Okay. Reading or hearing. Okay.
Yes.
Then Manan is thinking about it, reflecting upon it. Okay. See, just like first we tell the child, tell the truth. Then a person thinks, yeah, I got to tell the truth. Then the Nididhyasan is ultimately telling the truth.
Action. Action.
Like a practicing. Practice is called
Yes.
Nididhyasan.
Yes.
Okay? It's just like a living that truth. So these are the 3 stages, 3 steps of learning. So very good. Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. Yeah. Nididhyasan is living that, practicing it.
So I thought that Sujata may be helped with this because she was saying that just knowing is not enough.
Yes.
So we have to think about Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyas.
Yeah, we got to bring it into our life also. That's
Yes.
right. That's right. So Sujata, you have 2 teachers in this class. Your mom and your teacher, right?
No.
No. It's a mother's duty. And mother is a student too. So it's so beautiful. I like it. Okay, all right, Jyoti.
Kim.
Kim, what is your question now?
Hershey, could you please speak a little bit about Chetsaha, what that means?
Which verse you are talking about in 11? The Achetsaha?
Yes.
Okay, so again, Chetsa means intelligence, a person who's conscious, and Achetsa means unintelligent. So that's why I was saying that the person who is not acting properly, a person who doesn't even know properly, even though striving, they will not see him. So it's like we have to definitely do the practice, but practice has to be done with a full awareness. What are we doing? A person says, no, I am meditating an hour a day or 2 hours a day. And rest of the time, a person keeps on watching the movies. I have done my 1 hour of meditation, just like my guru told me. But now rest of the time, I'm going to watch movies. Or I'm going to keep on eating rubbish food. Or I'm not going to watch what I say from my mouth. Chetasa.
That's me.
Yeah, no, not you, but I'm just in general, I'm saying that we got to strive definitely, but strive intelligently.
Yes.
We got to see where we are going. What are we doing? What the effect of all that is. We cannot have a bucket full of water and put a cup of milk in there and think that whole bucket is a milk. only a white water. Right? It cannot be a milk. So that's how life is, right? So we got to make sure we eat like a yogi, we talk like a yogi, watch our company, We act like a yogi. We sleep like a yogi. We walk like a yogi. So the whole life has to be a yogi. I have told you this example. It happened right in front of me. Somebody asked Guruji, the new person came over there, Guruji, what time do you do yoga? His answer was very straight, very simple. He says, tell me what time I don't do yoga.
Yes, that's right.
The
Absolutely
whole
right.
life has to be a yogi's life.
Yeah.
You don't want to make a mistake.
Yes.
You don't want to utter a wrong word. You don't want to do a wrong action. You don't want to eat the wrong things, and you don't want to keep a company of a wrong person. He has written in his books, they are not even the books, they are the scriptures. He wrote that if you keep a company with a greedy person, pretty soon you will be greedy. And greed is an enemy of a yogi. If you keep the company of a person who drinks, pretty soon you'll be drinking. Or smoking. It's just a fact of the company. We cannot think that we are so powerful that we're going to change the other person. No. We got to be very careful. See, just like we are careful about this COVID these days, that's how we should be careful about these flaws which are keeping us away from our master. Okay, make sense? So,
Yes.
Your life is the model for us.
Yeah.
Your life.
no, not
Guruji.
my life. I'm still striving.
No.
Yeah,
For us, you are the model. And we
okay,
have to follow you.
okay. Thank you, thank you. So we have 11:30. So Manny, you wanna play
Okay.
some kind of a chanting for us, and we'll pick up our class next week class with verse number 12. Okay. Yeah.
Did we do the Purnamadan?
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah, Purnamada.
Purnamada. Okay, let's do that, and then meanwhile, Manny is looking for the chanting. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnamudachyate.
Purnasya
Purnasya Purnamadaya.
Purname
Purnamevavashishyate.
Om
Om
Shanti.
Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you very much. So, Manny.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Thank you very much, Manny.